Hi, Scott Orlin with Cinema-Magazin. There is a new film coming your way called Yes, God, Yes. That's right. Yes, God, Yes. And I'm telling you, it is such an incredibly charming movie. And part of that charm is the lead actor who's with us here today, Natalia Dyer. This is really fascinating because it kind of started its life as a short film. When you were going through that experience, did you ever have, was there a plan that someday it would grow up into be a movie?
Yeah, initially I got the short and I fell in love with it, agreed to do it. And then Karen explained to me that this was sort of the beginning for a longer feature that she had in mind, and she was going to use it as a proof of concept. She was first time director. So, I think it was kind of proving it to other people, proving it to herself. But, it turned out great. And so, eventually moved on to greenlighting the feature-length film, which was very exciting.
What I loved about this movie, because it plays on many different levels, but it's about an awakening. Now, whether it's a sexual awakening, a moral awakening, an intellectual awakening, there's so many different components, but it's kind of put into this young Catholic schoolgirl and the dilemmas and the morals that she faces. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about how interesting that was to have this awakening.
Yeah, for me, it was also kind of going back to that mindset of high school and kind of that environment, which I frequently play high schoolers, but this was so ingrained in like that peer, what my peers think of me perspective, which is terrifying to go back and remember. But yeah, I think that the real thing about Alice was she's, there's this naivety. And yeah, we catch her at this moment, where you imagine she's probably kind of just been going by, the rule book in a way. And then, she wasn't looking for it, but then this sort of discovery within herself happens. And, as everyone knows, it's, that's such a like, wow, discovery. And then, finding out about that, and then all of this conflicting information that's circulating around her, and trying to figure out why that is, like what just kind of questioning what she's always believed or been told, against this like newfound intuition. And it's a bit of a struggle, which I think a lot of people can relate to when you're surrounded by information. You're like, okay, well, what do I think? Why do I think that? I think a lot of times we just take information, we're just like, that's true. But not really doing the work to be like, but what's true for me? What's my truth? But yeah, it was a journey.
And obviously, religion is a very complex business. And part of that is the guilt that goes with it. And as we see on this journey, especially when it comes to sex, how everybody's trying to guilt everybody into kind of conforming, but yet we see the hypocrisy that goes on because everybody who's wagging their finger condemning is doing something on the side.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the fascinating thing about, I guess sexuality in general, is that it's like everybody, for the most part, everybody has that in them. And it's so part of our just most basic humanity. And to kind of repress that or keep it locked away from people, I think it's usually going to backfire, So, I think that the film definitely explores this sense of kind of demonizing people for something that we all can relate to, and again, questioning why would you even do that in the first place? Why not just create a space where we can, acknowledge it and talk about it?
I think the brilliance of this movie is setting it at the time when the internet was just kind of coming of age. Because for so many generations prior, you had no outlet to get this information. If I'm trying to explore something, where do I go? And especially when it comes to sex, because there were no places to do it. And all of a sudden, at her fingertips, she's able to pull stuff up and to open up dialogues, whether they're right or wrong, she's at least found the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that is, the internet, it's a blessing and a curse in a way, but giving people access to information, I think is so important. And I'm pretty sure, it's kind of like a human right at this point to have that access to the information, I think nowadays it's kind of figuring out what to do with all the information, and I think back then when in Alice's era, the internet was kind of just starting. It wasn't quite as big and broad as it is now. But yeah, I think, we have to credit the internet with a lot of conversations, things that you might have never thought about, or you don't know how to think about it, or just a lot of discovery. It's a very interesting thing that's going on out there.
Have you ever been to camp? Have you ever gone away?
I did a lot of, my parents both worked when I was young, so I did a lot of like summer camp, but I never did overnight camp. But it's funny, we filmed on this sort of, I guess it was normally a camp, but we were filming in like February, but it really gave this overall camp vibe to the whole film. It was really, I don't always get to do that. So it was really, and just to be in that enclosed space. I mean, sometimes filming in general can feel like camp, overnight camp. But yeah, it was really interesting to kind of work in that environment all the time.
And a last question for you. I am quite envious because you were quarantined in my hometown of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you were about to kind of get into season 4, the final season of Stranger Things. I know you can't talk about the minutia of it, but maybe just a perspective. How not only how important was this show for your career, but just thematic-wise, the things that you guys dealt with, and especially about empowering younger kids to kind of solve something.
Yeah.
Just a broad stroke about what the show has meant to you.
Oh gosh, yeah, so many things. Yeah, obviously it's changed my life personally, but I think what's been wonderful as an actor is kind of seeing how broadly the show appeals to both young and old people, and kind of people can say, I can watch this with my family, and I think that's always nice, because as an actor you're like, you want to just bring people together and bring people home. And yeah, I mean, the themes, I think that's something so appealing about all those old 80 films, is that it really has this just overall empowering of like, you can do anything you kind of set your mind to, even if it's a little bit crazy sometimes, but it's, not to discredit kids and friendships and relationships. Yeah, I think it's the key for me and the show is that like cross-generational, older, middle, younger, all kind of coming together to do something together. And I think it's really nice if people can also watch it and experiencing that in that way. Yeah.
Do you have a new appreciation for the supernatural?
I definitely have a new appreciation for filming it. Yeah, I have had to go back and kind of rewatch a lot of those films that we referenced I didn't have to, but wanted to. Yeah, and I think it's fun, I think that I've always been drawn to things that are a little more dramatic and grounded and honest as far as stories and characters go. But this has been such an experience and fun. And it's a fun set and a fun cast. But yeah, some of the things you end up filming are just wild, and you're like, this could only happen in very specific circumstances. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's hard to remember that sometimes it can be scary for when you watch it in the end. You're like, oh, that was such a funny day. It's such a scary scene.
Well, good luck with the final season. You're going to be missed. And congratulations again on Yes, God, Yes. I must say, it was so incredibly charming. I knew nothing to what to expect, and I was totally engaged. So congratulations, Natalia.
Very nice of you to say. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Stay healthy and sane. And this is Scott Orlin. Till next time.
All right. Bye.